Check the time and adjust your dial. It's time for the GZ Chop Shop Podcast, the best podcast by gamers for gamers. Each week, we give you the rundown of all the happenings in the gaming world, news updates, reviews, and much more. We do all the research so you don't have to. And if you still want more after the show, we got you covered. Check out our website at thegzchopshop.com for all of our latest content. Now keep your ears locked because it's time for the GZ Chop Shop. Hello. What is up, everybody? I know it's probably catching everybody off guard. A late Friday night stream. This is because this is going to be a special episode of the GZ Chop Shop podcast. We actually are going to cover a very important topic that I believe gets glazed over, especially with content creators quite often. And it actually came at the recommendation of our guest today, a good friend of mine who's been on the show a couple times before. Anya, aka the Bullet Maiden, is joining us today as we are going to discuss mental health awareness. So before we get deep into the topics, I do want to say, guys, we're not trained professionals. We're not going to be trying to make any kind of medical recommendations. This is pretty much just a safe space to communicate, air out some things that, if we're being honest, a lot of people are too afraid to talk about, may feel uncomfortable talking about with people because they might feel like they're being a burden or a nuisance. But for this show, that's not the case. We are literally we're here to let you guys know, hey, there is help out there. There are professionals in the field if you feel the need to communicate and reach out and connect. Even for me, it's a hard topic to discuss. So this is definitely uncharted waters, even for me, especially for the podcast. So without further ado, I guess we can get into it. I think Anya has her mic muted. There she is. Okay, there she is. So since it was at her suggestion, I know she had told me that, she wanted to talk about some experiences that she had gone through. So Anya, you have the floor. What is on your mind today?
I just think that mental health it's a very important topic overall, but I think that it's something that streamers and content creators struggle with frequently. There's a lot of times when I open up Twitter or Instagram and I see like tweets that a fellow streamer of mine or content creator colleague basically has struggled with, needed a day off because they needed a break from just for their mental health. They needed a break to kind of, balance out. And I think that it's something that, like you said, isn't talked about that much.
Yeah.
But it probably should be. And I think it'd bring people together in this community a little bit more if we were more open and honest about our mental health. And so I kind of just wanted to get in touch with you and talking about this topic to kind of shine a light on it.
Yeah. Actually, I agree because especially with social media and how a lot of people, can portray their lives on social media and how much social media has become an integrated part of day-to-day life, especially within the last year of COVID. It seems like there's a lot more unspoken issues that happen in the content creating community, unspoken pressures, the stresses of real life, the stresses of keeping up with, social media, just the demands of everything that can pretty much happen. I guess, and to summarize with the, being on platforms like Twitch or YouTube or any mainstream social media, especially if you are a content creator. I do think there's like a common misconception that we don't run into issues, because everyone sees once you turn on the camera, they usually see this bright, cheerful, happy face, you're doing your thing. And it's kind of like in my opinion, it's kind of like it's literally like acting. Everyone sees the actor take to the stage, and then you have that moment like, oh man, they played that part really good, that you forget that there's a person behind that character, and that they have their own going ons and happenings in the background. And I feel like it does get lost, sadly, when it comes to the world of content creating, definitely, for sure. I would say there's definitely like a blanket put over it. So I'm glad that you suggested doing this to kind of peel it back, so we have like a chance to just talk about it in the open. So was there, like, I know you were talking about, you had gone through some things, and the process of coming back. If you don't mind sharing a part of what you had gone through with us.
Yeah, so it's happened a couple of times where I've taken a break from streaming, just because of the pressures started to cave in a little bit. And it's a mix of, like you said, real life stress and streaming stress, because even if I'm sitting in front of the camera being myself, to a degree, it's still sort of like a performance. I'm very aware of the fact that I'm being watched by people, and it puts stress on you, even if you're not having the greatest day. Like, I'm the type of person, I'll be honest about it to my community. I'll say like, hey, like, I'm not feeling it today. These are not the vibes I want to share with you. Like, I think it'd be best if I just end stream now and take the time off. And I took a break for a month and a half between January and February, and didn't stream. And it was just, I had to get my mind right. It's just, I put a lot of pressure on myself. Generally, that's who I am. And then I put a lot of pressure on myself as a streamer, because I'm very goal oriented. I've got goals. And so when I start to feel like I'm putting a ton of work into something, like probably the hardest I've ever worked at anything, really, the streaming, the content creation. And then I start to feel like I'm not growing or I'm not going anywhere. Sometimes that's a hard pill to swallow, even though like when I sit down, that's not my end goal. Like, I'm sitting there to chat and have a good time. But at the end of the day, like, one of my goals is to get partnered, and that requires a lot of hard work. That requires working, building the community, giving people a reason to take a chance on you and come back to your stream and want to be around you. And that's a lot of hard work, because in general, you're competing against so many people who also are content creators and do really good work. So for me personally, that was a hard pill to swallow. I had blown up at one point, and my numbers were skyrocketing, and then suddenly it all just went away, and I had to deal with that, and I had a hard time dealing with that, and that's kind of what brought this break that I took on. And it was hard to deal with. I talked to a lot of people in my community. I was, open and honest about how I was feeling. And they stood behind me, and they're like, take the time you need, do what you got to do for you to get back to where you are. And like, I came back with a vengeance. Like, now I'm super motivated, but that's not to say it won't happen again, that, all the pressure will build up and eventually I'll maybe need another break, but it's okay to need to take a break every now and then.
Yeah, I think taking a break, it's good for us in general, just because we're so on camera all the time and putting our best self out there, that sometimes we just need a break to not do anything, especially like handling all of other life events.
Yep, definitely. Being under the having eyes on you at all times. It can be a lot. But I think I think it's just human to take a break, because especially like the world that we live in, with the amount of technology that we have, like all the screens and like social media, like they're constantly under the microscope of everybody around you. And it's, there's some people who Who I am now is probably the most accepting I've ever been of myself. I don't care so much about what people think about me like I used to when I was a teenager, you know? And I think it's still human to need breaks from that constant, like, just everything. Social media, everybody knows what you're doing. The internet, all this news that you're taking in is just it's like a lot of overstimulation.
Yeah. Like me recently, honestly, the past few weeks, probably almost month and a half now, it's just been, social media has just been so much for me to handle that, like, I'll scroll through like Instagram and Twitter and everything, but I just don't have the effort to post stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's you know, it sucks because I want to, because that's how I communicate with a lot of people, like in Discord and everything, but it's just been so much that I just can't handle it all at once. Because I mean, I work full time, I'm a mom, you know, I have my fiance, I have life, and just adding on top of that everything that can come with streaming it can be a lot.
Yep. And you know, you're constantly seeing your peers as well, you know. Like, there's a lot of people that, not that I compare myself to other people, but I kind of like keep an eye on like how my peers are doing and like friends of mine, because I've made, you know, friends streaming. That was a big part of streaming, is you make so many good friends. And sometimes, you know, I've seen a lot of people become partner recently, or something blew up for them, or they went viral, and I'm really happy for them. And at the same time, I'm like, I need to put that effort in. I need to get there too. But then the fact that I'm still waiting for my moment, you know, that sometimes is a little bit of pressure. And then, like you said, like opening social media and having to, you know, needing to post because that's how you communicate. Sometimes the motivation isn't there, or, you know, sometimes like the need to like have to create content because that's how you get visibility and all that, you know. I think it's hard for a streamer in today's age. Like, TikTok is blown up now for streamers and content creation, and like there's Instagram and YouTube, and it's a lot of work. And I think that really affects the psyche. This constant need to have to like put yourself out there.
Right, because you look at everybody, what they're posting, the ones that are blowing up, and you're just like, oh wait, but I can do that too. Why aren't I blowing up? You know, it's like I can give the same content as XYZ person, but then it's the fact of like, why aren't I getting the same recognition when I can do the same and I can give the same content out that they're giving? And it kind of it makes you feel bad, because then you're comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah, and then, you know, and you don't do it intentionally. I think it's just human. Yeah. Especially in this business with content creation, because like I said, you're not that you're up against people, but they're your peers. You want them to do well, but you also want to do well yourself. I feel like most streamers have a goal, whether it's to build the best community out there, whether it's to get partner, whether it's to become a full-time streamer and have that kind of like, you know, live your passion for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? I think that it's a lot of pressure. And I think that's why we see, at least I always see a lot of my peers needing breaks, taking breaks here and there, feeling down, you know, withdrawing from social media for a few days. I think it's just something that is very human, and we don't talk about it enough, and we don't make it okay enough.
Yeah, because I feel like sometimes when I have to be like, all right guys, I need tonight off, I need that mental break, I feel bad for doing it most of the times, because it's like I don't want to not, but I don't want to not stream, but at the same time, like, I can't handle it right now. And I feel bad. Obviously, everybody's just like, oh, it's fine. You know, you come first. But in my mind, I'm like, no. I only stream 3 nights a week because of everything else. So it's like, if I miss one of those streams, I'm just like, well, you know,
you become your own worst enemy in this field. And both of you have brought up some extremely good points that I think a lot of streamers and content creators, especially on these major platforms, feel. And I can say, if I'm gonna kind of put myself out there, I've had some of that experience that you were talking about, Anya, where you'll you're happy for your friends, and you'll see some people come in, and then they'll have their moment to take off. And in my case, I would have like that gleam of hope. I'm like, okay, if they, we're kind of doing the same thing. If they did it and they took off, then my chances, it's right here. It's in front of me. I must be at the door. And then it doesn't happen, and I start thinking to myself, okay, well, what am I doing wrong? What is the difference? And it's another thing that I know a lot of people try to pretend that is not a factor on these platforms, but there are invisible standards, invisible blockades, and there's some walls that feel insurmountable that a lot of people try to pretend don't exist, especially on platforms like Twitch and even YouTube, especially with visual heavy platforms. Because for one, I personally know someone. I met them when they had like 200 followers. I helped them, and they had their moments where they were down, and I was like, hey, just keep pushing, and you'll go. And in like a year, they became partner, and I was like, cool. And at the same time, another factor that can be into play is how some of the people you can meet along the way can make you feel bad about yourself. Because at the same time, I saw this person when no one knew them becoming to the point that they became a partner, and then it was all of a sudden like they no longer knew me. And to this day, they don't realize the effect that had on me, not only as a person, but as a creator myself, because it was like, do I help people now when they come to me? Like, am I just another stepping stone in someone's goal? And when you mentioned, the competitive aspect of these platforms, it's not like you come in wanting to compete. I don't think anyone enters into content creating wanting to compete, but this platform's culture, and I say this platform, but a lot of platforms, the culture has made it that way. And in the end, you wind up in this battle with some people that may have been your friend, and you one day sit back and don't even realize, like, how did this happen? When did I start becoming jealous of this person who shared this goal with me? When did I start thinking I wasn't good enough? I'm not good enough. And it always also feels like another thing that, Kara was bringing up, that's a good point, is like taking breaks just seems like a no, because I can't tell you how many times I've wanted to just take a break. And I know my friends have my best interests at heart. And if it wasn't for Kara and Yuli literally fussing at me, I would be going nonstop. Like literally Yuli the other night was like, okay, now, stop freaking working and take a break. And I was just like, okay, so if it wasn't for having these two and telling me that, I've had people that are like, I'm like, hey, I think I'm going to take a break. And they're like, oh, you can't take a break. If you do that, man, your channel's going to die. And then immediately I'm like, damn, yeah, because I'm not making content. And if I'm not making content, then nobody's going to watch because, you're
not relevant.
You're not relevant. And it's like, yeah, man, that's the death of a channel. You take a day off, your channel's dead. And I'm like, and that's just the culture. That's the immense amount of pressure that a lot of people don't realize content creators go through. Is we, at some point, we put ourselves on this hamster wheel and we just never get off of it. And it just whittles away at us, and we just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. And then the stress of just being a content creator, then real world happenings, and then that pressure just increased even more with COVID, because now everybody wanted to be a content creator. And I don't know about you two, I'm speaking for myself on this one, something that still frustrates me: the overnight sensations. The people who just got up on like their laziest day, and then they were just like, I'm just gonna stream, and then like in a month they're like, hey guys, I'm a partner, and we're over here like, dude,
I've been doing this for 2 years.
Yeah, like I like your microphone, it sounds like you bought it from McDonald's. Did you you don't even have light. What is happening? And they're just like, yeah, you know, I'm a partner. And it's like, now not only are you competing with yourself, you're competing with your peers, you're competing with the constantly shifting standard of how society consumes content, what people want to see. And it's hard. It's stressful.
I'm gonna piggyback off of that about the whole, you know, what people are seeing and stuff like that. As a female who doesn't think very highly of herself, going through all the, you know, any category. Any category, and you're seeing all these, you know, these beautiful girls who are just making it, and you look and you're just like, for me, it kind of just sets in place that my thoughts are right. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, maybe if I looked better, if I actually did my makeup every time I streamed, or if I got all dolled up every time I streamed, you know, maybe I'll make it better than just being me.
I understand that feeling as a female streamer as well. That was something when I first started streaming, like I was terrified to be on camera to begin with. Just because, you know, I'd heard horror stories of being a girl on Twitch, you know, and so I made sure I always had my makeup done and my hair done, and it was exhausting. And I don't know, I had friends that like there were situations where people would make comments about my appearance, like positively and respectfully, but I had other people that I knew that were a little bit resentful of that, that I was using, not technically using my looks, but I was, you know, trying to present myself in a certain way. Because I'm not a titty streamer by far. There's not a lot of titty to work with. but I made sure that I had my makeup done and my hair done, you know, and I mean, I didn't want it to be like I was using my looks to get somewhere, but I felt like I needed to in some regard. But, you know, as time went on, I got lazy and I stopped doing that. And now now that I've been motivated to stream again, I find myself putting on some makeup again, and not for the stream though, but just kind of for me. And
that's what it should be. We shouldn't have to feel like we have to put a face on just for the camera. And like, I'm working on that. That's something I obviously have to work on. But, you know, I would so much rather just be in like a t-shirt and no makeup, hair up in a bun, because that's me on a daily anyways. So like the days that I actually, you know, do any type of makeup, or if I put a nice top on, I at the same time feel good, but then I'm also worried that I'm gonna put off the wrong vibe, and I don't want that.
Yeah, because and I'm not a female streamer, but I have
the only word Yuli has said all night.
I know Yuli's been on his best behavior. I'm so proud of him. But I have seen, you know, being friends with Kara and some of the streamers that for some reason Twitch swears I'm interested in.
Is it really a friendship if she bosses you around and treats you like your child?
She moms me, but it's for my well-being.
Yeah, you need to learn how to fucking relax, you goddamn knobhead.
But see, that's what I'm saying, and that's the kind of like reassurance and you know, friendship that a lot of content creators, you know, need, is like that person that tells you it's okay to take a break, because, you know,
the amount of times that I have yelled at you to take the night off.
The amount of times that it goes on Discord to be like, hey guys, look at this, hey guys, look at this, and I'm just there like, what, you want a fucking cookie or something? You did good.
Maybe I want a cookie. I like cookies, okay? Thank you. I like my cookies.
Did that last night.
but no,
he's like showing us all the little sound bites. He's like, and I'm like, what do you want? Cookie, you did a good job. Take a break. You've been working all day. Fuck off.
I was proud of them. But no, I was gonna say, I do as much as I can see the struggle that the female streaming community goes through, because for you guys it's like there's two sides of the coin. It's like you've got the visually appealing, because if we're just being completely honest, we know Twitch runs on that.
Yeah.
And it sucks because since they've let that standard go for so long, it leaves very little breathing room for you, because it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like, okay, I'll play ball to a certain extent, and then you get attacked because you decided to make yourself, you know, like, okay, I feel like I want to feel good about myself, and then you get attacked for it. It's like, oh, you're just using your looks. And then when you're like, well, I just want to be relaxed, then it seems like, okay, well, no one's interested. And that's literally it sucks, because that's such an ingrained culture in these social media platforms. And I just came to find out, I thought YouTube was a safe haven, but I guess I've been living under a rock. YouTube is pretty much just the same. They just make it more politically correct. And I was like, oh, well, damn. Need to get from under my rock.
No.
Well,
Fuck their political correctness.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another side to it now too that's really been blowing up for female streamers. Is the whole, like, I've seen a lot of it lately. Like the female streamers that are like, you have to sub to me. Like, if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be here.
No.
Yeah.
Those have been blowing up a lot lately. And I'm like, oh God, this is gonna be like a new thing for females.
You don't yell at me, I won't
blowing up
sub
in
to
not
you.
a good way. Not a good way.
In a bad way, but they're not getting canceled, you know. That cancel culture that exists is not really happening. Like, people are still going to stream. I've seen people defending it, and I'm like, I'm not
knights.
that type of woman, so I feel like there's another thing for me to not succeed in because I'm not.
Don't
like
you
that.
wish that you could just talk to those guys that defend them so much? Be like, dude, she's not gonna sleep with you. Just let it go.
And if we're calling a spade, that's yeah. And don't even get me started on the stress that cancel culture is, because they're so daggone picky and choosy. But if we're gonna be honest, in content creation, that is something that you have to be very aware of, because you sneeze wrong, and you know that's another stress. Someone's like, they just decide, oh, I don't like the way you sneezed, and now they're ready to attack you. But yeah, that's
oh yeah,
that's
and like I mean, I used to have like my viewers, like I play with viewers. That's something that's like a theme in my community and my channel. And I used to let everybody come on a mic, even people that I just met that I would like bring into my lobby to play Call of Duty with. I'd let them join us on mic and Discord. And I learned that's a bad idea.
yeah.
Some people would say words that are not appropriate for streams, or even younger, some people that were in my stream are a little bit younger, and they'd say words that are just not appropriate. Or you don't know what type of person you're getting into when you start playing with strangers on the internet.
Yeah.
So
Especially as a woman.
Oh yeah, so I've found a way to remove my Discord audio from my VODs and from my stream, and so now nobody can hear that except for me. But it was kind of a bummer, because it was a nice way to get people talking and get a community, build on the community and just get to know somebody. But it backfired enough times that I was like, I have to make a change here, because it was starting to stress me out.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's additional
stress. Because like, why can't people just have the respect?
Exactly. Like, you can't say certain things and think it's okay, because what happens is I'm the one that's gonna be penalized for it, even though it wasn't me that said these things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's just that's another stress that comes along with being content creators. Like, a lot of people are looking for somebody to play with or just to talk to. And they want, I have like a feeling that some people want to be on mic and be heard. And that's just, it was stressing me out, the constant fear that somebody was going to drop a word that they should not be saying in my stream on a mic in front of people.
Actually, that's one of my goals, is to get Itachi so mad to drop a word he never wants to drop.
It's not gonna happen. But
Oh, it's gonna happen.
But for those who are wondering like where are we going with this, it's pretty much to air out the unspoken things that content creators go through that creates those moments of feeling overwhelmed, reasons that some of us have breakdowns, things that a lot of people are not aware of, and I would say the viewer base, because for a lot of you guys, you come and you see the on-screen versions of us. You see us once we've slapped our cheeks, drank our water, did whatever we had to, so that we can come on in a more in a positive way for you guys. And then once the camera's off,
Unless you're Deller.
but yeah, once the camera's off, these are the things that a lot of people aren't aware of, because some people, when they get into streaming, they immediately get overwhelmed and they walk away from it, so they don't actually feel the full pressures of it as those who are trying to make it a career, take it in some professional way, and pretty much the burdens that do come with it. Because even though it seems like it's a lot, the people that become overnight sensations that made it look easy are not as many as it seems, and they're pretty much the exceptions, not the rules.
Yep.
It's just a lot of traffic goes their way. Your average content creator goes through a lot more, a lot of years of investment, years of sacrifice, and it doesn't help when people also don't take it seriously, because even in an age right now, video games is $1 billion industry. There's so much, money.
Oh, bro, you still play video games?
Exactly. And it's like, yeah, but if somebody suddenly tomorrow, I got sponsored and wrote me a $10,000 check, your tone would go from, bro, you still play video games, to, man, you play video games?
We'll go for, hey man, you remember that time I got you that cookie?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The amount of times that it's been stated at my job that somehow it's gotten brought up that I like video games, and because I'm one of the younger people at my job, everyone kind of looks at me like, you
like the baby
play video games?
Video games.
And then they question because like I'm also a mom.
I get that too. I understand that feeling. I've had that happen a lot, or like I was known for it at my old job. Like, so every time something happened that was even remotely related to video games, everybody came to me and was like, like I was the central resource for all things video games. And I was like, it's just, it's something that I do.
Yeah.
For fun, and I get to talk to people, and it's not just me sitting in a room staring at my screen playing video games. Like, it's me. It's hard work. It's more than just a hobby. Like, for me, like, even though I don't do any of this for the money, it also became part of my income. And that's another stress point, is if the people, when you start to rely on it, like I started to rely on it as part of my income, then if you lose that part of your income, like I said, I took a 1.5 month break, so I lost that part of my income, and I have bills to pay. That's another stressor that comes along with everything. And like I said, like, it's never been about the money, but that's something that came along with it as I grew, and can be stressful. And I can't even imagine people who do rely on this full time, who do it full time, rely on it as like their entire salary, because it's not a salary. It's, if you do well this month, and next month you might not do so well. Like, how do you make ends meet? So I think that's another big stressor for content creators, and like this constant need to have to be relevant to keep your income coming in. I think it takes a toll. I know for me, when I blew up for a little bit, and when I say blew up, it was blowing up for me. It's not like I didn't go anywhere like ninja status, but I went up to like 20, 30 viewers. Status. True. Right now he's not right now. But I went up to like 20, 30 viewer average. And that was huge for me, because that had been a goal of mine for a while, and I finally got there. and I made a lot of friends that were in the same range that I was in, the 20-30 mark. And all of a sudden, my numbers just started going down, and now I'm sitting around the 10 viewer mark. But all my friends, like especially 2 of them, became partners. They kept going and made it to partner. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't get it. I know I took breaks, so that was also kill factor, as everybody says. But that was hard to deal with, especially because, like I said, part of my income it became, I'm happy for my friends, but at the same time, that stress of just like, what am I not doing like that I was before, or what changed, or like, am I gonna be able to, like people that like, I have friends that also are partners who've lost their following. They didn't do a partner push or anything, but they just, I don't know, maybe they're just not as relevant as they were before. And this is their job. This is their 9 to 5. Well, not a 9 to 5, but it's their full time. This is what they put all their time and effort into.
I think that's another scary thing is like, if you do this for so long, is the people that have been there for so long, are they going to stay? Or are they going to find someone new?
Yeah.
Are they just going to get bored of you? Because I've had people that when I first started streaming that aren't here anymore. I haven't seen them in months, and it's like the people that I actually got close to, it's like, did I do something wrong? Did I just bore them? And then it makes you question yourself if you're doing enough.
It's a terrible strain on anxiety, for sure, especially if you already have anxiety issues. Like a thing a lot of people don't know about me is I do have like high anxiety, and I always go out of my way to try to make people happy. I always try to go out of my way to make people laugh. And when people grow, distant from you, in this case, in a digital age where connections are established online more now than ever, it still has that same effect, if not more so, because for a lot of people, your social life is on the internet. And then when you lose that, your streaming community becomes a family to you in a way. And when you lose that connection to them, it weighs on you. Because then you're like, well, these people on the internet don't like me. How would I know, the people I see in my day-to-day life are going to like me? And growing distant, because I'm the kind of person I will, and Kara knows this, and Yulia knows this, I'll sometimes just be random. Like, I might not have anything relevant to say, but I like to check on people every now and then. I like to just be random and say, hey, what's up? And sometimes I don't want anything. I just, it's my way of letting them know, I know it's random, but I'm thinking about you. I care.
And see, you do you'll just send hey in one message, and as another person with anxiety, it just shoots my anxiety up, because I'm just like, oh my god, what did I do? What did I forget? Did something happen in the last week that I didn't do, that I shouldn't have done? And then you're just like, what's up? And I'm just like, oh my god.
Well, oops.
You motherfucker.
I'm over here giving Kara heart attacks, and I think I'm being nice. I'm just like,
the amount of times that you've done that, and I'm just like, oh my god. Or the, hey, I need to talk to you. Or, hey, are you available? And I'm just like, no, I'm not available.
No, I'm not free.
That should be like a phrase that's like banned from relationships. Like, hey, I need to talk to you. Like, what?
No, do not. No.
So I I'm glad that you brought that up, because I will be honest, I don't know how to say things to certain people certain ways, because a lot of things, and this is a personal stressor of mine, a lot of things I say get taken out of context or not taken seriously. I have like a backward effect. I will say something that I want taken seriously, and then people will turn it into a joke. And I don't show my reaction right away. Warner's has called me out on this several times. You guys know, he's like, you can't really tell sometimes what I'm thinking. And it's because usually sometimes I'll say one thing with the intent of being taken seriously, and then it gets turned into a joke. And then the things I say as a joke get taken, seriously. So it's like a backwards effect. So I'm like, I never can really say what I'm thinking, even when I'm talking to my viewership and I have my open moments. It takes so much for me to feel comfortable enough to say what's on my mind. And personally, that is a very big.
You think in a jigsaw puzzle.
But and the thing is, I don't like to do that. And just to add to what this overall topic is, that is a very huge stress factor of mine. So the reason I just usually approach people with like a hey before I actually say what my thought or question is because I have gotten I guess you could say like this is like years of compilement, and even in even more so when I got into streaming, terrible feedback from people. So I usually test the waters, and it just became a habit of saying hey, because when you say hey, there's no expectation. So if a person ignores you, you didn't put like hey, can you do such and such for me, or hey, would you like to work together? Because I used to be forward with people, and when I got into streaming, I'd be like, hey, I really like your content, would you like to come on the podcast? And I usually get I got more no's than yes. Anya, thank you for actually accepting when I asked you. So eventually I just started crafting the style of when you just say hey, usually people will become curious and they're like, hey, what's up? And then I can kind of like lead into it, because typically if people don't want to talk to you, they just don't respond. So I'm like, okay, cool, you don't respond, I didn't put myself out there, and now I'm not walking away with anxiety induced embarrassment, which for me is a big thing, because I've gotten like so many rejections, and something that a lot of people don't know. They're like, oh, what do you do behind the scenes? I've sent out sponsorship request letters, and actually like back in season 2 when you came on, Anya, and we were talking about G Fuel. And
I keep asking you to send a letter to Bad Dragon, because I would love for Bad Dragon to sponsor us. That's not even a joke. That's God honest.
Dude, I'm gonna tell. So
you know how cool it would be to be like GZ Chop Shop sponsored by Bad Dragon.
Well, I have sent sponsorship letters out, and they've been rejected. And it wasn't even like I was just sending them when I hadn't done anything. I mean, I had channels up, and what really killed it was all their responses came back pretty much the same, and they just put it in a politically nice way, but they were just like, yeah, your numbers aren't big enough for us, sorry.
I know that pain. I used my marketing background to do the same thing. I wrote a bunch of pitches to different companies that I was interested in working with because I used their products, and I actually didn't get responses to any of them, really. The only one that ever really replied to me was Game Fuel, and they didn't really reject. I mean, they rejected me, but it was also like, you're awesome. Here, have some free stuff. So that was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, at least they gave a consolation. But...
yes, that I'm not a pro player.
Yeah.
or a Twitch partner. But the day I do become a Twitch partner, I'm gonna message them and I'm gonna be like, is it time?
Is it my turn now? Am I cool enough?
Am I ready now? Oh man.
But yeah,
I mean, on that same vein of thought, like I've had a situation where that's another stressor I think that affects my mental health, and I think other is trying to get sponsored, trying to get other people to see the value that you have, and like I had somebody in my life that has been rooting me on for a while. He's been like, you're awesome, your vibes are great, I see something in you that I don't see in some other streamers, and that's that's great to hear. And he's tried to get me some partnered streams with Activision for Call of Duty, but they won't take the chance on me because I'm not big enough, and that was so hurting.
You kind of don't want Call of Duty to sponsor you. They can't even make their fucking games work.
Yeah, but you gotta also realize for me, I'm primarily a Call of Duty streamer, so it's kind of like right up my alley.
Yeah.
And the fact that they wouldn't take a chance on me, even though they saw that Game Fuel noticed me and they were impressed by that, but they wouldn't take a chance on me. And that was a little soul crushing, because I hear all these great things about people really enjoy my content. They really enjoy my personality and just spending time with me, but people still won't take the chance on me. So I feel like that's another major thing for streamers and content creators that are trying to grow and trying to get others in those positions that can help you, whether it's a sponsorship or, collaboration or something. Seeing your value, I think getting your value seen, I think is hard. It's very hard in this atmosphere that we're in, this environment, and I think that's very difficult to deal with as well. Like you mentioned, like the sponsorship declines were difficult for you to deal with, Itachi.
They leave a sting, especially when you're trying to take this seriously. And something came to mind, while you were going in depth about that, is it to keeping focus in track with social media and the burden that brings. I think another reason that there's pretty much a glanced over mental health on social media is because how it's handled on social media. I have this, for me personally, I will say my feeling on this is I always feel that the people who probably need the most outreach are the ones who never post about it like ever. Because personally, I always get frustrated when I see like I go on social media and everyone's posting, they post their day-to-day life, and they're like, oh, my life is great, and then they have that one bad day and everyone's like, oh my gosh, man, oh man, it'll be better. And I'm like, where's that outpouring for so and so over here? Because I'm in a Twitch streamer Facebook community, and I see that kind of stuff happen. You'll have this person who'll they post whatever their going live pic and whatever, and then someone else will post like they're having a bad day, and like two people will interact with that post, and like 2 minutes later someone will post their hot version pic of going live, and it's like they're right next to each other, and then everyone's at that other post, and I'm like, okay, but you have this person right here saying they're having a crap day. This is a community of thousands. This is your chance to be there for this person, and you're not even waiting like an hour before responding to this immediate post right behind it.
I think a lot of that also stems from the fact that nobody wants to talk about it.
Exactly. Like
nobody wants to, they don't want to bring it to light. Like it's an everyday thing. Like so many people that I'm sure don't talk about it have some sort of stressor or mental health issue that they may not even know about it, but the people that actually are communicating it, that's like, hey, I'm not doing okay today, it's like you don't post it for like pity, but at the same time you're like, you want someone to just be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Or you just need to get it out.
Yeah. So like, and now that I have, I have a little bit of a platform, if I'm not big anywhere, but when I have those days where I just want to tweet out just what I'm feeling, I don't feel like I can do that anymore. Now that I'm now that I'm a streamer, now that like my face is more on the internet, I don't feel like I can do that because it's not a good vibe. But at the same time, it's like people should also realize that like I'm a human, I have these feelings too. But then I don't end up tweeting it because I don't want it to look like I'm seeking for attention.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those are two, I think, like, what's the word I'm looking for? When things rub, like two things that are rubbing against each other. I can't really like
the
think
friction.
of it right now. Yes, there's like friction there. Like it's people come to the stream or your page or your channel or any of it, and they're here for good vibes. They're here for what they see on camera. And I think that we should be able to say when we are having a bad day, even if we have a bunch of bad days back to back. Like, I think that's something that we should be able to get out. And I wish people in the community, like, I've written about this a couple of times on my Twitter. I've posted that I started seeing therapists again, because I was going through some things and I needed help. And I was very open about that. And I got a couple people that messaged me privately and were like, sorry to hear you've been going through this. I've been going through something myself too. Like, if you ever need an ear, I'm here for you. And that was really heartwarming and special to me. And if I hadn't written that post or any of the posts that I've written about it, and like you said, it wasn't attention seeking. I just wanted to bring light to this issue that I think a lot of people deal with, and something that I've dealt with for many years. I struggle with depression. I'm on antidepressants. I see a therapist, and I'm not ashamed of that. It's a part of who I am, and I'm working to get myself better. As everybody is, every single day, we try to be a better version of ourselves every day. And I think that posting about it, I think, should be an okay thing. This should be acceptable, you know what I mean? And we shouldn't be afraid to post that we're having a rough time right now. Even if there's a disclaimer that's like, this is not for attention. Like, I just need to get it out. And for me, and I'm sure for all of you, my community, I know them very well. They come in, I know what's going on in their lives. I talk to them all the time. On some levels, they know me better than some of the people in my real life do. And they feel like family to me. And so being able to share how I'm feeling with them is important to me. And I think it should be something that's important to a lot of content creators who don't open up about that part of their life. And that's not to say every detail should be shared, because privacy has value. But I just think that like how you shied away from posting about because now you're more visible. I think that you should feel comfortable sharing your off days with your community. I feel like that's what I kind of wish happened more often. Because maybe it would be a little less sad.
Yeah, I see other people do it. I see other people post about it, and it's just man, I don't know. It's just my brain's just no, you're just gonna look like an attention seeker. You just want people to pity you, and I don't want that to come off as who I am. Mm-hmm. So it's I just don't end up posting it because I've typed things out and I'm just nope, delete, cancel. I'm not. I can't post it. Because now I have a face on the internet. People rely on me to provide content, and it's I don't want to show that I'm having rough days all the time, because I have them pretty often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
But and I don't want people to think of me as just that. Yeah,
I think there's a delicate balance that can be made. Between sharing the content that you do for whatever it is that you stream, I think, and then a portion of you that's human, because I think being human is kind of how your community grows. It gives people an opportunity to get to know you, not just you that's in front of the camera, but all of you. And I think people like that. They want to connect.
Right. They don't want to just think that you're another person just playing video games, that you're an actual human.
Yeah,
with feelings and emotions.
Exactly, a reason to it gives them something to connect. When I see other people, I had a friend of mine that I saw, he had posted that he was really struggling, and he got an outpouring of support on Twitter. I hadn't actually seen his initial messages. I saw his message thanking people, and so I messaged him, and I was like, I hope everything's going well. I'm glad to see that you're doing better. And I don't, nobody really saw it as attention seeking. People just kind of saw him to some degree, it made me feel a little bit better about myself, because I was I'm not alone,
Right.
fellow streamer of mine who's also going through some of what I go through, maybe for different reasons, but we're going through something together. It's a shared experience.
Now, while I was listening to both of you talk, there was one thing I was noticing, and I was like waiting for you to both say, but neither of you said it, which kind of solidified a thought that I was having, that I've always been in denial about myself. And it was mostly that it was people that you probably have not really met, you probably will never meet in real life, that have been a hand on the shoulder. And I think that's something that also needs to be addressed, is the fact that how some people can be, they can be close to you, you could know them, you could have them actually in your life, and they not know or not understand or not be willing to understand what's going on. Because as Anya was talking about, it should be okay to make these posts, sometimes just to let things out, let people know what's going on without giving too much info. And I can say I used to do that back before I even got into streaming, back when I was in the military. And anyone who served in the military can understand the stresses of being in the military, regardless of whatever branch you're in. There's stresses that civilians will not understand. They can't understand. And I would post on social media as my outlet about some of the stresses that were, I was going through and going on. And at the time, before we became the, as I like to dub it, the more sensitive generation, there was no real support for that. It was pretty much the mentality of, sucks to be you, get over it, you got a job to do. Because from the military aspect, it's, hey, go do your job, go talk to Doc later, go do your job. And from the civilian aspect, it's like, well, make sure you can do your job and protect us. Okay. So it was like really no middle ground there. And I got away from doing those kind of posts of outreach, because there wasn't really any feedback from the people that I actually knew, the people I wanted to hear from, because at that time that was the only connection I had, were the people I actually knew. And I went through many breakdowns, which developed, my ability to deal with my, whenever I have my moments of depression, I just learned to deal and cope. And it just kind of traveled over into streaming, because I'm like, I see the kind of posts people reply to. If I post something like, your general, hey, I'm doing this, and I go in to do something like having this podcast, there's like no interaction whatsoever. Nobody cares. Everyone probably looks at it like, oh, he grew up playing video games and he's still a kid, whatever. And it doesn't help that, like, if controversial topics come up and I might like chime in on it, then all of a sudden there's like the feel of people liking controversy, and then they chime in and like everyone's ready to just flambe me for my opinion on something. And I'm like, so you guys do read my posts, but if I disagree with you, then you're all in. And then I post like, hey, I'm having this shitty time, things aren't going right, it's crickets again. So I'm like, okay, so you interact when I disagree with, the general consensus on something, you roast me alive, make me feel like shit for having an opinion. So when I
dare you have an opinion, Itachi?
Well, I literally had to create my own show to have an opinion. but it's,
how dare you?
but it's stuff like that, and which, to some people, another factor is people don't realize what might seem small to them can be so huge to someone else. Like, to some listeners, that might seem like nothing. They're probably thinking like, what? That's a big issue for you? Yeah, because everyone takes things differently. A lot of people don't realize how one act of kindness, no matter how small, can change a person's outlook on the world. And I know people that just from, even though it gives Kara a heart attack, from my random haze. I actually have a friend that she has told me, she's like, your haze are so flippin' random, but you always send them when I'm having the worst day. And she's like, and I appreciate that. She's like, because nobody else is doing it. Nobody else. And I'm just like, you know what? I haven't heard from her in a while. I'm just going to send her a, hey, hello, how you doing? And I've done that several times. And she's like, every single time you do that, I'm having the worst day. And now I'm good again. Because just knowing someone took the time to send that message, you didn't have to initiate conversation. And I'm kind of, to be honest, I'm kind of the same way. I'll wake up some days and I'm like, I wonder if anyone, shot me a text just to see if I'm still alive. So I'll admit I'm sad sometimes when I look and I'm like, no text, no message. If I decided to vanish, would anyone notice? And
I think about that all the time.
and there's a song, I think it's by Hidden Citizens. It's literally called Would Anyone Care? And like verbatim, I could relate to that song. Like, I know, we're trying to be lighthearted, as lighthearted as possible. But in a moment of realness, there's a lot of days where, because of what I'm doing, and I'm wondering, will I succeed? Does anyone take me seriously? Am I wasting my time? To the years of my life, that I'm contributing, my sacrifices, does it matter? Am I leaving a mark?
Am I growing?
yeah. Am I growing? And I will wake up in the morning. I don't remember what my dreams are, but I will wake up and I can tell that it's weighing on me because I will wake up in tears. And it'll be like a stream day, it'll be a stream day. I, have the hardest time going to sleep at night because I have that anxiety of like, okay, I'm going to stream tomorrow, but is anyone going to show up? What am I going to talk about? Is anyone going to care what I'm going to talk about? How many trolls am I going to get tomorrow?
You always have a guarantee of one, though.
Yeah. There's always a guarantee of one. And it will weigh on me subconsciously that I will have these, these heavy dreams, and I will have these flashbacks, and then I will wake up and it's like, I feel like I'm right back where I started, and every time I'm ready to just kind of like I need a moment, I need to take a break. And my mom, she makes me chuckle about it, but like in the moment it's not funny, but we chuckle about it every now and then. She's like, you give off this aura when something's not right. She's like, I don't even have to be in the same room as you, I can just feel it. She's like, I'll just walk by and it's just there. And she's like, I know something's wrong then. And it sucks because that's just my lack of communicating, because I don't know how to talk to anyone, because that would mean I have to be me. And I've been me around people. And I have this running theory that people aren't born weird. Nobody is weird until society makes them weird, because society deems certain things weird. So it's like tomorrow, if society woke up and decided that, breathing with your nose is weird and everyone goes with it, then people who decide to still breathe through their nose will be considered weird. Oh,
you still breathe through your nose? Fucking weird.
Exactly. And that's how it is. We're a herd mentality. So there's a lot of things about me that people would find weird, but to be me, I want to be able to just be able to like talk to people like, hey, this is what's weighing on my mind, and this is connected to this, and this is connected to this. And unfortunately, because I always feel like it's a burden to someone else, or the day I decide I'm gonna finally tell this person, I'm gonna finally talk to someone, they're having a bad day too. So then I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to make this a bad day pissing contest, so I'll wait. I'll swallow that bullet one more day, and then the day never comes, because I didn't find out until, honestly, Warner's told me, and he's with his kids today, so he couldn't join us. He's actually the only one that's in the medical profession in our group that
fortunately
but that I suffer from manic episodes. I didn't know what that was until he told me, and he had to let me know, because I would have those phases of where I was just down, I wasn't creating anything. I had zero motivation. And then out of nowhere, I would be super motivated. I would have this high. I would have thousands of ideas and I'm ready to tackle them all. And it was like, I had to get all that out there. I'm like, okay, this is my moment. I'm going to make it. And then another phase of a down. And then another phase of a high. And he was like, yeah, those are manic. He was like, trust me, I would know. And I'm like, oh, great.
Sounds like I'm manic.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, great. So I have manic episodes. And I always am in denial about my problems because I always have convinced myself, well, I got it bad. Someone's got it worse, because that was what was ingrained in me. It could always be worse.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And that's something that I'm telling myself. It could be worse. So I should stop complaining about what I've.
Oh my God.
I mean, and touching on what you said, like, I've been told that I don't talk enough about my feelings. And a big part of that is because I feel like I'm burdening someone else with that. And I don't want to do that. So then I see a therapist and then I let it all out. And then there's tears and snot. I totally get how you feel when you, as far as like the fear of like burdening somebody else. And then you sort of feel like, and I can understand, like, if you tweet about it on your or any of your social media platforms, write about how you're feeling and nobody interacts with it, then you really do feel like they don't care. And that can be really hard to deal with as well. So it's kind of a little bit like a double-edged sword. Like I'm saying, like, I'm almost a little hypocritical too, I think, on my part. I'm like, you should talk about it, but there's a chance it might backfire and make things worse.
Yeah.
No, I understand how you feel. And the manic episodes, I always just assumed that was me being an ambivert. Like, I can put out a lot of energy and then I have to recharge my batteries. And then I can put out a lot more energy again and be motivated and have a million ideas and feel like I'm going to conquer the world. And then I have to recharge my batteries.
I guess I just popped that balloon. Welcome to the world of manic.
Yeah, I've just learned something new. No.
Yeah. But no,
I think another thing on the whole burdening thing, like, for me, I like to call my down days, like, I usually get them and they're a few days long, and I call them my episodes. And I don't always talk to people about it, whether it's like my IRL friends or like online friends, because I feel like, one, I can't answer their question because they can be like, all right, well, what's wrong? And it's just like, I don't know. I'm just sad. And then at the same time, it's like, if I do know, I don't want to keep talking about it over and over and over, because then I'm like, okay, they don't want to listen to me talk about the same thing for days on end.
Mm-hmm. And it sucks because we really shouldn't feel that way. And it's funny because you got to think of how many people feel the exact same way we do. And it's like, if you put all of us in a room, that would probably, except for Yuli. Yuli have to be outside the door because Yuli be the only one saying anything. But if you put the rest of us in that room, it would be the quietest room ever. It's like,
oh yeah, I'd be too like anxious for the quiet. I'm like, all right, someone's got to say fucking something. I don't care. Someone fart.
Somebody do something. Somebody fart. But no, that would be that's the state that we're in, because like I said, and it's the pressures we put on us. We were using examples like TikTok and Instagram, and it's not to take away saying that those people, who are famous and whatever, they don't have their own, problems and drama. It's like I said, it's not so much that, it's just the culture behind all of these platforms, this invisible, unspoken standard that they've set. And it just makes it worse that they all say there is no such standard. There's no, but it is. And it trickles over into real life. It literally trickles over into real life in the sense that, if we're talking like in terms of appeal of like the kind of people want to know, it's like, everyone probably has like their own favorite YouTuber, and it's like, man, I would love to meet this person, they seem like cool in real life. And then subconsciously people apply that to people they meet. in some way. You know, they project they project their ideal person onto you. If you don't align with it, then they don't, you know, it's like they don't want to get to know you as a person. Like they don't want to get to know you. It's like, yeah, well, I got this ideal friend, I got this ideal romance, and then I got the ideal, you know, social group. And if you don't fit that, then, you know, it's like, well, where'd you get that ideal from? And honestly, it's, you know, it's probably all from social media. And like I said, it's very obviously prevalent on the platforms like Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, the other one that won't be named. so it's like it just adds so many more unnecessary problems to pretty much just being a human today. And even though I see like all the posts that that pop up and they're like mental health, it's, you know, it's a real thing, and they're like sharing all these posts, I never posted it because I'm like, this is one of those posts that everyone's gonna backlash and get butthurt at me at, which is kind of funny because every time people have snapped at me about a post where I'll disagree with the general consensus, they've wind up proving me right. And I think that's why people snap at me. It's like people hate when the truth is thrown in their face. And I never partake in those shared posts because I'm like, but how many of you have actually reached out to someone you haven't spoken to in months, maybe even years, just to see how they're doing? We all can chain a post to be like, yeah, I'm part of the movement. Okay, when was the last time? Okay, if I asked you what my, you know, just to, you know, obviously not everyone's gonna know, but like just general example, like, okay, what's my favorite food? You probably wouldn't know. Or like, yeah, but you know, I could post it on social media. I could run a test and I could post on social media my favorite food, my favorite color, and I could do that every day for a week. And then I could go to someone who's on my friends list and it's like, mental health, checking on my friends. It's like, what's my favorite food? I don't know, really, because I posted it, so it should have came across on your feed. So when's the last time you actually?
You're putting too much faith on the fact that the feed will show what that tweet or that post, because sometimes that will just get hidden amongst all the other shit they probably follow.
Which that's also like another stressor. It's kind of like
you get buried.
You just get buried in posts. Everybody's got a Discord. Everybody's got their TikTok now. Everybody's got Instagram. Everybody's got Twitter. It's a lot of people that you try to keep up with, and it's a lot of pressure on a person to try and be relevant.
Yep. That's why I wonder, like, is it when Facebook and all that first came out, it was like the coolest thing, but do you really need to have like 500 friends? Because on average, how many of them can you even keep up with? You know, I could probably tell you some of the posts that, you know, my friends have that I don't even talk to, but I do try to take time to, like, you know, read everything and you know, interact as best I can. But like you guys were saying, you know, there's just so much going on. And on top of the fact, you know, the social media platforms themselves just throw random shit your way. So it's like people who aren't even on your friends list, it's like, hey, check out this post from so-and-so. I'm like, I don't even know who this is. Why is this on my feed? So it actually buries, you know, your other friends. And it, I don't know. Like I say, I feel social media is overall a big culprit of it. You could have a whole debate on, like, is it good for you or is it bad for you? It really depends. Personally, I think it's bad.
Yeah.
I think it's bad, but it has its moments. I think that it kind of sucks that as a content creator, social media has so much more of a impact on your visibility. It sucks that you can't just be on Twitch working, you know, grinding it out, and it's like a package deal. Like, you got to have the content side of things because you got to give people a reason to come to the stream and see you. I think it has its moments, but I agree, it is, I think, more of a negative thing, just because it saturates our life now.
Yeah.
it's saturated. There's so much saturation, you can't even see everything that's going on because there's so much.
Yeah. And a lot of things that some people don't realize, that constantly changing algorithms or lack of algorithms and, you know, trends, and not even if you're trying to keep up with trends, but just just knowing how to try to get your content out there in front of people. And it's like climbing a slippery slope because it's constantly changing, you know. The platforms already have their favorites.
Back to the old ways of just being on a New York street handing out piece of papers.
It feels like it. It feels like you gotta go back to the old ways, you know, what works. So yeah, going back, doing it that way and all that. But yeah, but you know what, this is good because we got things out there, you know, letting people know it's not all peaches and cream as a content creator, you know, be it you do streaming or, you know, any you know, podcasting, anything. And it's okay. It's okay to let people know that you're not okay. And if you don't feel like there's anyone in your inner circle that you can talk to, there are those in the professional field there that you can reach out to, therapists, you know, even, you know, I don't even think you have to go into offices anymore if you know, you're not comfortable face to face.
You can just do it online.
Yeah. You can.
There's a lot of websites that you can find, like online therapy and online, you know, you can get online prescriptions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, also, like, a lot of therapists are just doing sessions online since the pandemic, and a lot of insurance companies are covering that.
Right.
So you don't have to leave the safe confine of your room anymore. But I think, like, at the center of all this, I think it's just important to understand that it's okay to feel the way that you feel, whether or not you choose to share it. I mean, it'd be great if we did share it more often, and made it more commonplace. And, you know, if you saw somebody down, you just maybe drop the smiley face on their page, or, you know, just tell them that what they mean to you or something, anything that could maybe brighten the day. But it's okay to feel down sometimes. It's okay to take breaks.
Sailor Ryan said it best. It's okay to not be okay.
That's a K-drama.
Yeah. I was thinking that in my head, and I was like, why does that sound familiar?
It's really good.
but no, it's yeah, it is okay to not be okay. And I know some people are probably like confused on, like, you know, what was the core purpose of the show, but this was the point. It was to air some things out. It wasn't, the focus wasn't to be like, you know, here's what you should do, blah blah blah, because like I said when the show started, none of us are trained professionals. We can't give you any professional advice. We can't do that.
We just speak from experience.
Yeah, the most we can do is try to relate to you in some way to let you guys know you're not alone. And if you want to talk, there are those there. You can talk. You can talk to us. You can, you know, get in the server. You can. Anybody knows if you hit me up in the DMs on my Discord, I'll respond. There's like some days I'll be really, really busy, but I promise I will get back to you. So if you just need to talk and vent, that's fine. I'm not, you know, because trust me, I understand it. Yeah, we all get it. And this was just to let you guys know that if any of you can relate, you're not alone. So no need to hold it in, and reach out. And even if you are having a good day, check on your friends, see if they're having a rough day. A lot of people just don't say anything, and they just need to know somebody cares. So reach out, see how they're doing. And you never know, when you have a bad day, they might return the favor, and it could make a big difference. It can make a huge difference.
Underline that. Reaching out. Very important.
But we're gonna wrap up the show.
I have you now.
And I I think this was a good conversation. Anya, I want to thank you again for suggesting this. It was definitely needed.
Yay!
And I think we should try to maybe do this like once a month, kind of like a.
No.
Yuli doesn't like talking about his feelings.
I don't want to talk about my feelings.
I don't want to talk about my feelings, but just kind of like a chance to let people know, hey, there's options, but yeah, we could probably come up with something. But Anya, once again, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Yulia, I'm so proud of you. You were on your best behavior today. Round of applause for you. Round of applause. I'm so proud of him. But thank you everybody who tuned in today. We really appreciate it.
I was promised ice cream if I was on my best behavior, and someone's got to pay up.
Yeah, and anyway, thank you everybody so much for tuning in. Remember, you are amazing. Stay safe out there. We will see you all next time.
Except you know who you are. You know I'm talking to you.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.